I get very excited when discussing these topics. However, this evening, my intention is to keep it very short, just short enough to cover the essentials, or long enough not to dull your dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, as I was transiting here, I reflected on you and the unfortunate dilemma that you are faced with as you try to enhance your connection with your home country. It can be easy sifting through the press and being constantly bombarded with negative news. Corruption has dominated our coverage, such that one would imagine that it is the order of the day in Kenya, and that it has paralyzed government, and that all things in Kenya are undesirable. I'm here to tell you that we do indeed have challenges, core among them dishonest dealings by public officials who are essentially corrupt. However, corruption has not just begun to happen in our nation, or for that matter, is not a vice that isn't being overcome. Just pause for a minute to ask yourself why you are hearing more about corruption and other negativity. Is it because we are suddenly plagued with it, or is it because we are in a country where democratic liberties reign, where freedom of speech is exercised, and beyond that, living in a time where media space, and particularly social media, is open? Just as in the United States, we have the propensity to dwell on the dreary, because, as the cliche goes, it's not news unless it's bad news. Road facilities, strikes, the showboating of MCAs, the terrorist attacks that have shaken our country, we have read all about this time and time again. And yet, this has been an extraordinary year for Kenya, one of great fortune. In the past few months, and far from this dread, Kenya has been repeatedly and positively thrust into the international spotlight because you have played host to very rare events, occasions that most other nations will never boast of. In May of this year, we witnessed the beatification of the Venerable Irene Stefani, which brought pilgrims from all over the world, particularly from Italy. And more specifically, not just to come to Kenya, but more specifically to come to Nyeri. And even though I am not a Catholic, I felt very strongly Catholic. For those of you who are not familiar with the term beatification, it is the recognition of an individual's entrance into heaven, where one will have the capacity to intercede on behalf of individuals who pray in his or her name, otherwise known as intercession of saints. This recognition is one made by the Roman Catholic Church, and those who are accorded it are given the title blessed. Her beatification was the first on the African soil.
Wow.
Not long after that, Kenya held the 2015 Global Entrepreneurial Summit that was held in Nairobi in July 24th and co-hosted by President Uhuru Kenyatta and US President Barack Obama. Basically two Kenyans. The summit, at least according to Donald Trump, the summit converged business owners, educators, policymakers, and investors in one place. And it was once again, for the first time, such an event was hosted in Africa, and for that matter, by President Barack Obama. You are obviously aware of the just concluded visit by His Holiness Pope Francis, which came at a time when security concerns are heightened globally, not least in Kenya, where we remain in the front line in the battle against terrorism. Those high-profile events have occurred without incident, and they have showcased the world that we have always maintained, what we have always maintained. Kenya is a safe destination for tourism, investment, and business. In a matter of 3 days, the World Trade Organization's 10th Ministerial Conference will take place in Nairobi. This, again, is the first time the WTO Ministerial is being held anywhere in Africa. We are hoping, as the Pope urged, that you will resolve the contentious issues around global trade, as these are what fuel inequality and exclusion. On my part, as a senator of an agricultural county, I'm agitating for the elimination of tax escalation for all value-added agricultural products, as it has always served to keep hard-working farmers in perpetual poverty. Now, those of you who are not conversant with the issue of tariff escalation, it's quite simple really. If you send a bag of coffee from Nyeri to Brussels tomorrow, it is not duty, it has got no duty, it's duty-free. If you put the same coffee in a tin, which means you have created a couple of jobs in Nyeri, and send that same tin to Brussels, it has got heavy tax on it. In other words, it's a system that is used to ensure that we do not create companies to value add our agricultural products. We are hoping that the Ministerial in Nairobi is going to address that particular issue in what is known as the conclusion of the Doha round of negotiations within the WTO. We want better trading conditions, not aid, just good trade. And therefore, as we hear all the bad news about Nairobi, I think I am establishing also that there is good news.
Yes.
And your country is healthy and thriving. I want to turn a little bit to my passion, which is really ICT. Technology has revolutionized the manner in which we are interacting both socially and professionally. And it has indeed formed the foundation of our economic transformation. As Bill Gates put it, never before in history has innovation offered promise of so much to so many in so short a time. It is a sector in which limitless opportunity await you, and one that welcomes your talent, resources, and contribution. And that is just an understatement. When I look back at how far we have come, I'm struck by the mysterious ways in which God works. You see, many years ago, for many of you here, I mean 2006 to be precise, while on official duty to Barcelona as Minister for Information and Communications, some colleagues and I took to discussing the issue of fiber optic cable and the need to link Kenya to big economies in Asia and Europe. Our goal was to create an environment in which we could make internet service available to your average Kenyan, and not just do so by reducing its price from what was then 7,000 shillings to 500 shillings or less per megabyte, but to make it high speed. At the time, we had two interesting parties, Seacom and EASY, the East African Marine Cable System. However, there were struggles for domination among them that threatened this idea. And so we started researching and asking questions about how others were doing it and how we could turn this dream into reality in Kenya. Eventually, and destiny would direct, we visited here, the United States, specifically the Tyco offices in Baltimore, a US fiber optic company, and this is where we all began. This is where it all happened. We learned about cables and how to lay them, their attendant programs, and the transformational impact that they would have on Kenya if we did it right and correctly. We had the need, the political will, which revolved around regional governments, and now all we had to do was find the right partners and name it. The next day, while en route to Tyco in a bumpy bus, somewhere between Washington and Baltimore, the idea sprang. We were a team from East Africa representing our countries, and it made sense to honor that collaboration. And so it was, the establishment of teams, the East African Marine System. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got to be honest. Much as I was excited about this initiative, I would never have imagined the full scale of its impact in our nation and what it would transform our country to be, at least in the area of ICT. Today, as a direct result of this cable, the internet penetration in Kenya stands at a whopping 29.6 million users, which then put in context translates to about 69% of the population. We have become the Silicon Sahara as a technology scene that has grown so rapidly that business and government alike are constantly in motion to adopt new technology solutions. If you have traveled home recently and are interested in this field, then I am sure you are aware of all the tech hubs, labs, and institutions that have emerged, including MLab, iHub, NILab, and many others.